Hello and welcome to episode 3 of IWIN series. Now, today I've got a few nice lessons to run through. The first thing, just for a bit of context, is that I've just been away. I've just got back today, about half an hour ago, from a little getaway with a few of my cousins. One of my cousins is getting married, so we had some time away. We spent the weekend away, and we just made some food together. Went out, went for a little hike. Played frisbee, whatever. Just like little basic things, right? And the first lesson is actually just off the back of just doing that. And very quickly, what I realized when I got there, people say all the time, burnout is real. You get tired, you get overwhelmed. It's good to take a break and things like that. What I wish I knew last week, what I just need to reaffirm to myself, is that I'm not the kind of guy that needs that much time away. I'm just not the kind of person that needs lots of breaks, needs lots of rest. And I think the reason why is because my breaks and rests come from sitting down and eating food, having a good night's sleep. Like, if I'm doing that and having good calls, like seeing progress, that for me is enough, like rest and break and recovery for me to be like, okay, I can keep going. Okay, I can keep going. Maybe that's also a sign that I'm not pushing myself hard enough when I am actually working. However, for the things that we're doing, I feel like, we set out exactly what we want to do. We work at it hard. Like, we really do focus on what we're doing. And we make good progress. We're making good progress week on week. And, going away, like, as much as I actually really enjoyed myself, I had a nice time. I really did like it. And it was actually better than I thought it was going to be. The main thing that I learned from it is that I'm just not that kind of guy that needs time away. And I think a lot of the time people try and force down your throat, like, when you're an entrepreneur, you take a break, take some rest, you're going to burn out. No, I'm good. I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I know it works for me. It might not work for you. You might not be able to do this, but for me it works. So let me do what I want to do, right? And I think that the limitations that other people try to put on you is something that you have to be really, really aware of as an entrepreneur. Because it's so easy for other people to come in and say, you should only try this new thing out for like 3 months. And if it doesn't work within 3 months, just pack it up. Or you should only be working X amount of hours. If you're working that long, do you really want to do this? Yes, I do want to do this. Yes, this is the path that I'm choosing for myself. No, I don't want any extra breaks. No, I don't need extra rewards, right? If you know what you're capable of, if you know what your limitations are, if you know how you can work, then just stick with that, right? Because a lot of the time, like, I'm hearing it from family a lot now because there's lots of programs coming up, there's lots of different things, like, all over the place. And in my mind, I'm just like, I don't need any of this, man. And they keep saying to me, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you care enough about my relationships with family and the way that, I'm going through my work to try and encourage me to take a bit of a break, right? To encourage me to go out and interact with other people. I just don't need it. And it's really difficult for a lot of people, especially if you're agreeable. I think I'm fairly agreeable, right? And it's difficult for people like me to set really hard boundaries and say, no, I don't want to go. No, I'm busy. No, I need to do this. No, I need to focus on what I'm doing, right? And I think as entrepreneurs, it's also important for you guys to know that sometimes when other people are saying, this is the thing, this is what you should be doing, this is the way that you should be looking at it, it's not always the case where you should be looking at it through their lens or taking their word as gospel, right? Sometimes you just got to look at yourself and think, okay, well, what do I actually want? And am I going to be resentful if I go and listen to these people because it's not aligned with what I actually want? And sometimes what you want is stupid, right? So you should always be aware of that, right? Sometimes the needs and wants and the goals that you set are really, really dumb. But if you've tried and tested and reviewed and looked and analyzed, and you've really openly listened to what the things are that are being presented, what other people are recommending for you, and you just don't think it's for you, don't feel the pressure to get involved in that, because it's not worth it. You lose a relationship with yourself when you keep compromising for other people. So that's really important. Let me just turn that off. So that was lesson 1. Lesson number 2 now is that, on a similar kind of tone, right? You'll not see eye to eye with most people, okay? Most people that you're not going to see, like, you're just not going to see the world the same as them. And the reason why I think this is important is because when it comes to business, I know that when I'm thinking about the relationship that I have with my coaching clients, right, and people that I've got in the community, they will not always see things the exact way that I see things. And I can try and tell them a better truth, right? Or I can try and tell them my lived experience, but they won't always believe it. They won't always accept it. And to give you an example of this, of where I've not seen eye to eye with someone, is that my business coach, John, he told me to get into paid ads, and he told me like 2 or 3 times, and I didn't really admit to it. I didn't really say like, yeah, I should, or I was quite hesitant in getting involved in paid ads. And 6 months in, or 4 months in, or whatever it is, I'm very, very glad I listened to him and I went through with it. But when he first started telling me about it, like it didn't align with the story in my head, and I really had to change that. And as a business owner, you've got to really think about, okay, what's the story that I keep telling myself that's holding me back? What are the things that I'm telling myself that I'm not seeing eye to eye with other people? Like, for example, someone like Grant Cardone says, you can't live on like 50 grand. No, you can't live on 50 grand a year in America. You can't live on 100 grand. You can't live on like 150 grand in America, right? He's like, you need to be earning much, much more than that. And, a lot of people won't see eye to eye with that. They'll think, no, well, there's people that are broke. There's people that are like single mothers, like 3 kids, and they're doing it on less than that. And that's fine, right? You're not going to see eye to eye with what he's saying, but it's because you haven't went through his experience. You don't know where he's at. You don't know like how he views the world, right? And I think the actual lesson is not that you won't see eye to eye with most people. I think the actual lesson that I'm trying to extract from this is that people that are further ahead than you will often have a different perspective that you will try to neglect, and you'll try and convince yourself that that's actually not the way. And the reason why you convince yourself that's not the way is because there's some other insecurity that you have. So for full transparency, when John was telling me that I should get into paid ads, and I was saying no, it's because I was afraid that if I spend money on ads, then I'm going to lose a lot, right? And that was worrying for me. I was like, if I start spending money and it doesn't give me a return, then it's over, okay? Similarly, the reason why people don't just try and view things the way that Grant Cardone says, where you can't live on 150k a year, is that they think, well, if I start thinking like that, that means my situation's actually really bad, and I need to get out of my situation, and I'm not sure how to get out of that situation. And it's just a deeper fear that's rooted in you. But it's very hard to be humble enough to be able to say, okay, if someone's further ahead than me and they're trying to give me advice in terms of what I should do, I should actually try and open myself up to their perspective, right? And I should really, really, really try and do that, okay? And what I find is that most people that get stuck in life are the ones that don't open themselves up to the perspective of people that are further ahead than them. And I think that that's one thing that I've always tried to do. Like, I've always done that fairly well, or better than the average person. Like, I remember even being like 15, 16 years old, I used to sit and listen to like Eric Thomas, Gary Vee, like Les Brown, and listening to these people over and over again. It changed the way that I started thinking about things. And I was like, these guys are further ahead than the other people in my life. I want to be far ahead in life. I should listen to these guys and not the people that are around me. And even when their opinions conflicted with the people that were around me, I was like, okay, well, I should force myself, or I should try and understand exactly what that perspective is that these guys have that are further ahead than me, so that I can implement that in my life and see if it actually takes me closer to my goals. And lo and behold, that's exactly what I've done, and that's exactly what I'm getting now. And I think that that's a really fundamental skill that a lot of people struggle with. Like, they don't want to accept the truth of someone that's further ahead than them because it worries them. It's to do with some sort of deep anxiety or fear that they have internally that they haven't resolved yet. And I think any time that you see a perspective of someone that's further ahead than you that you don't agree with, that's actually trying to help you, like genuinely trying to help you, you should start to question yourself of, what is it in me that is really against the advice that they're given? Okay. And if you do that honestly, I think a lot of the time you come down to fear. Sometimes there is like a real value misalignment, okay? And sometimes someone further ahead than you can be trying absolute rubbish, right? Absolutely true. But a lot of the time, there's a deeper fear, there's a deeper insecurity that needs to be exposed, because if you don't expose it, if you don't start to break it, it's actually going to keep a hold of you, and it's going to cause you to get stuck. Because sometimes the only way up is to let go of some of the fears that are holding you back. And it seems quite like wishy-washy, philosophical, whatever, right? But it's just an experience that I've had, right? Like sometimes when I'm telling people like, look, this is what you've got to do, this is the way forward, you've got to move forward like this, and they're further behind than me, and I know this world, and I know what they should be doing. They don't necessarily see it. I can tell them a story, I can explain it to them. Again, they don't see it. It's because there's a deeper fear within them that they're not willing to explore. And if they're not willing to explore it, then they're just going to stay stuck. And that's the way the world is, really. Now, the last thing is quite specific, right? And it's something that I experienced, and I don't, honestly, like I could try and make it a little bit more discreet, but I really don't care, okay? So some of you guys might know that with the community that we have got events that we run, and in those events, you know, we'll have food. So last time we just had the Dominoes, okay? And we had some snacks and other things that we brought along. This time, I came across a business owner, and he came through an ad of ours, and we said, like, you know, like you're struggling with procrastination, you're struggling with these different things. How can we help? We started exploring that a little bit, and one of the things that they said is like, look, you don't have agency at the moment, okay? And you want to start a catering business. I was like, you don't have any agency, you don't have anything that you're doing at the moment that's like causing you to really like want to move forward. And he was like, yeah, you're right. Like, and because of that lack of agency, like I'm not staying accountable to what I say I'm gonna do. I don't feel any kind of pressure. And I was like, look, how about this? How about we set you up to be our caterer for our next event? And he was like, yeah, sure. And absolutely lovely guy. Like, don't get me wrong. I genuinely really like speaking with him. However, the problem is with bringing him on as a caterer is that, you know, we've been helping him like we've been sending people in our network to help him out with his business. We've been giving him some support, some advice. We're now also, you know, taking a huge risk to bring someone in as a caterer to provide food for our next event. All these different things, we're doing to support him in his business journey, which obviously we absolutely love, right? And that's why we do what we do. We love to see people move from where they are to actually a more successful business. Now, the problem with this is that the relationship that I had with him, or the relationship that I should have built with him, is one of, look, your business isn't moving as quick as it needs to be. You need our support to do that. That's completely fine. We'd love to help you. Here's what we can do for you. Here is the coaching packages. Here is the community. Like, what is best suited to your needs in terms of like actually moving you forward. And because we haven't established a better relationship, like, you know, the lesson is design the relationship that you want and stick with it. We design the relationship that we want is like someone that is a coach and client, okay? I don't need a relationship with a caterer. I don't need to have some sort of like communication with someone that's in the food business. I really don't care. It doesn't serve me or serve my business much at all. I think the people that come to our events will be more than happy with the Dominoes, right? But what's happened, and this is really important, is that I now become slightly more bitter and resentful because the relationship that I tried to create with this person is no longer the relationship that I wanted. And now it takes time and effort and resources to support them, when realistically there's other people that need and deserve more of my time, resources, and energy that I can't now give to because I'm giving it to this person. That difference in perception of what I should give and what I'm actually given is very, very critical to the way that you see your relationship with people. If I feel like I'm giving more than I should, like, you can look at this like in marriage terms, right? Like, if you've got a partner who you feel like you're pouring into, you're giving a lot to, and they're not giving you anything back, then you're going to start feeling like frustrated towards them. You're going to feel bitter, okay? And it's the same within business. Like, if your relationships, if there's not a reasonable amount of like, I'm giving this in return for them giving something back, then of course you're just going to be like, oh, why the hell am I doing this for? Because I've got other things I could be spending my time on. Other people need my time and attention. Why not give it to them instead of you? And this is something that, again, John and Andy were really clear with me. So both people in Young and Lazy, both mentors of mine that I look up to, both of them told me, like, if you start doing things that are too cheap, or you start doing things for free that you don't actually feel like you should be doing for free, then you're going to become resentful. And it's accurate, right? Because now with this person that might be doing our catering, I have no problem with the guy. Like, actually, I think he's genuinely one of the most sound people I've ever met, and I would love to see his business succeed. However, if I'm thinking about how I'm using my time and resources, and even I'm gonna pay him for the food and everything, like, and it's probably gonna be more than the or like grabbing a pizza, like grabbing a few pizzas. I'm just thinking like, this doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't align with in my head of like what I should be doing. And it all comes down to the perception that you have of your goals. If my goal is to like grow the business, and something in my eyes is causing me to not grow the business, which might be someone doing work with someone for free, then I'm like, okay, well, this is actually stopping my goal, which is like one of the most important things in my life. Why on earth would I be okay with this? I don't care how nice you are, right? I need this gone. I need to move this on. And I think that hopefully, if you're an entrepreneur, you can relate to this to some degree. Of every time something comes up that stops you from achieving your goals, there's a level of frustration tied to it. Or maybe not even frustration. It's more so a desire to move that thing out of the way, and that can be with people, that can be with technology, it can be with anything, it can be with yourself, right? But recently we've been experiencing it with people more than we would like to, right? And I think that for us, the solution to not becoming resentful with people is to be more clear on the relationship that we want, design what that relationship should look like, and then actually stick to creating it. Like, actually try and build it. Do what you can to move it back to the relationship that you want. Because if you have a relationship that you don't want, no one feels good about that. They don't even feel good about that, right? So it doesn't help anyone really to have a relationship that you don't like, okay? And it's also not sustainable. So those are the main three things that have come up, and like genuinely just thinking about it myself again, reflecting on these lessons. I can see the actions that I need to take this week. I can see what I need to do a little bit differently. I can see what I actually need to establish, and I think that this is why these lessons are so important, because they're not just things for me to talk about, but it relates to the behaviors that I'm currently doing that need to go from A to B. And hopefully by the end of this week, like I can see a tangible difference in the way that I'm behaving. Because if not, like, what's the point of learning the lessons, right? So I hope as well along the journey, you guys within entrepreneurship, within business, you can also take these lessons and be like, wow, okay, I actually need to be aware of this, because this is the kind of stuff that happens in business. These are the consequences of these lessons, and this is what I should probably be doing to avoid it as well. Okay, we'll finish up there. Thank you very much, guys, for listening in. Honestly, I'm so grateful for starting this series, because I know I can feel it. It'll turn me into a much better person, much better person. So hopefully you guys enjoy it too, and I will speak with you next week.